Hi, welcome to Psych 4390/5090 Bayesian Statistics. I am excited to get to have you in a course this summer on one of my favorite topic areas, and that is Bayesian Statistics. So in this video, I wanted to get you started down the road on this course by first letting you know a little bit about what the course is going to look like, particularly in terms of schedule as well as topic of study, as well as introduce you to two of the computational tools that we're going to be using and hopefully help you get these installed on your own computer. These are things we're going to need very, very soon, and we'll use them throughout the course. So let's talk first about the schedule of this course. As you probably already know, it is a 4-week course. Now for summer 22, that means it runs June 13th through July 6th. And in the span of those approximately 4 weeks, you're going to go through 7 online lectures given by me. This is going to be approximately 2 per week. The last week will be a short week. It will only have 1 lecture. Now, after those lectures, there are some deliverables that you will give to me in exchange for a course grade. And that is exactly these 2 things. First, there's some homework. You're going to have 7 short homework sets, and these are nothing more than just practice from each lecture. And those are going to be graded and worth 10 points each. And then finally, at the end of the course, you will submit a brief research proposal. I'll talk more about this later on in the course, but basically the idea is that you're going to be applying Bayesian statistics, the things you learned this summer, to some problem of consequence, most likely in the behavioral sciences. So let's talk a little bit about the topic of study. Well, of course, it's really easy to discern what the topic of study is. It's Bayesian statistics. Now, this is my research area. This is the first time I've gotten to teach a course purely on Bayesian statistics. There are lots of books out there, but they're all way too comprehensive. They're too big. And I'm currently writing a book on using Bayesian statistics in the behavioral sciences. So I'm actually using this course to generate the material for that book. So what that means is for you, I'll be providing my lecture notes that you'll see in each of these online lectures, as well as some other resources that come along the way. You are going to learn this directly from me by reading the work that I do, and that's how we're going to learn it. What exactly Bayesian statistics is will become clear to you throughout the semester, but just to give you some idea, let's look a little bit at the course outline. Now, I copy this directly out of the syllabus. This is tentative, considering that at the time of recording this video, I haven't actually run through the whole course yet, but these 7 units roughly look like this. So we're going to begin in the first lecture with a review of traditional, what we call frequentist inference. So we'll set the stage for the semester by introducing a really neat problem and then talk about the classical ways to solve that problem. It'll be things you've mostly seen before with maybe some new tools thrown in. And then starting in Unit 2, the second lecture, you're going to get right into Bayesian statistics. We're going to talk about the language and concepts of Bayesian statistics. Then in the third lecture, let's move my cursor down here, we'll get into some of the tools that are used for Bayesian statistics. And of course, I'll introduce some of those computational tools in a second, but you'll learn how to use them a lot more in this third lecture. And then finally, we'll end the course with either 4 or 5 lectures, depending on how the schedule works out, where we use Bayesian inference to solve very common designs in our field. So again, our field for most of you is probably going to be psychology or the related behavioral sciences. And so we're going to look at how to apply Bayesian inference with correlational designs, 2-group comparisons, so things like t-tests, multivariate designs, so this is where analysis of variance or ANOVA comes in, and probably end with something on Bayesian linear regression. So all of these will become more clear as we get to them. So the ending part of today that I would like to do, let me see if I can get this down, is to talk about the computational tools that we're going to use. So after this lecture, you should have a couple of pieces of software installed on your computer. And those 2 pieces of software are R, okay, just the letter R, as well as JASP. You may have seen these before. In fact, many of you have probably used JASP. Let me retype this because JASP is not all caps. It's just the J that's capitalized. So let's talk about how to install these. They're all free. You don't have to pay for them. If you ever come across something that asks you to pay for it, go away. That is wrong. You don't need to do that. These are all free software that should work on almost any computer system. So let's talk about R first. R is an amazing software package for doing statistics and so much more. In the very first lecture, you'll see us get into R and use it for lots of things. Installing R is not hard, but it's not trivial. Particularly, there are two steps involved in installing R. The first thing that you have to do is you have to install just R. We call this base R. In fact, let me just type that there. We're going to install the R base for your system. And to do that, we're going to go to this website. It's https://www.r-project.org. And there'll be a link in the description below for this as well. So we're going to go there first and install R. Once we're done with that, and I'm going to walk you through this, we're going to install a pretty face for it. It's a user interface, and it's called RStudio. And that will be a really nice, what's called Integrated Developer Environment, or IDE, for using and interacting with R. And that's easily to find. It's just at rstudio.com. Now, I do make a note here, you can use what's called a cloud-based instance of R, so you don't have to actually install it on your local machine. You can just do everything on the cloud. It's at rstudio.cloud. But you're on your own. I don't use cloud-based instances for R. It's pretty easy to manage on your own machine, so probably this will be the best solution for you, what I'm about to describe. But if you do have questions, then certainly let's talk about that. So let's go ahead and look at how to install R. The first thing we're going to do is go to the base R website. So that's r-project.org. There's also a link in the syllabus, as well as probably on the Canvas page for this. So we'll go to a browser, and we're going to pull up r-project.org. Here's what it looks like. So a lot of things here. The first thing that you will want to do, though, is download it. And you'll notice at the beginning where it says Getting Started, there is a link to download R. So let's click that link. Now, once you get here, if you've never seen this before, you think, well, what is this? Well, R is a big piece of software that's used all over the world, and so there are what are called mirrors for all of the software packages in all types of countries across the world. What I recommend is to select the mirror that's reasonably close to you. That will maximize download speed. What I'm going to do is scroll down until I find the United States. And in fact, you can see I've already clicked this before. I'm just going to use the Iowa State University mirror. There's even some in Texas, etc. But I'm just going to use the Iowa State one. They're all the same. They're mirrors. So that means they literally reflect the same software packages wherever they are. And then at the top, everything you need is in one little box. Depending on whether you use a Windows machine or you use a Mac OS machine, or if you use Linux, even with some specific varieties of Linux here, you can find a download. Now, I'm on a Mac, if you can't tell, so I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. But if you're on Windows, just click on the Download R for Windows. There's a bunch of links here, but you really just want the base. So click on that, and then you'll see at the top, you'll download R-4.2.0. That's the new version as of June 2022. So you'll download that, and then you'll follow the instructions when you double-click that executable file. Okay, and it should work like a charm. I've never had any students have any problems with this part. Okay, now if you're on a Mac, let's go back a couple of things. If you're on a Mac like I am, you can click here, Download R for Mac OS. It's a little different, and it's become a little more complicated in recent years because Apple computers have been released under multiple different types of processors in the past few years. So at some point a couple of years ago, Macs ran Intel processors. And then as recently as maybe 2019, 2020, they began to release computers using their own proprietary chip, which is called the Apple Silicon chip, or ARM architecture chip. So you need to know which kind of machine you're on. So I first thought I would give you a tip to figure out how that's done. So because you can see here, the R4.2.0 package has a couple of different versions, right? There's this one here, which is for your Intel builds. Let me highlight this. And then there's this one, which is for your Apple Silicon builds. So which one do you need? Well, go up to the very top of the screen. See, my mouse is at the top. Click on the Apple, okay, and click on About This Mac. And it's going to give you some information about your Mac. It's going to tell you which operating system you're running, etc. But what you need to look at is your processor, okay? And you can see that my processor is an Intel Core i5. So this is this is a 2019 version. This is the older chipset. This is an Intel chip. So what that tells me is I need that first link right there, the one for Apple Intel machines. But if it is the Apple Silicon, it will show that here as well. So that will tell you which your computer is. If you just bought the computer recently, it's more than likely going to be the new Silicon chip. And congratulations, because I'm ready to get one of those myself. And the next computer I buy will have that. So anyway, once you figure that out, you just double click on it. And in fact, as soon as you double click on it, it's going to start downloading it. I'll just show you what that looks like. Here in Chrome, it's going to pop it down there. I don't actually want to do this because I already have R installed. And that's that. That is how you install R. So you'll double click on the package and extract it and follow the instructions. It's just like installing any other piece of software. Okay. Once you have installed R, okay, you're not done. You need RStudio because that's what we're going to interact with R using. So you'll use this you'll use this link right here, rstudio.com. Again, link is in the syllabus on Canvas as well as the video description. And it's going to take you to something that looks a lot more polished than the R website. Okay. Now, it's a little harder to find what exactly you're looking for in this website. So follow these instructions. First of all, go to Products. When you click on Products, or actually you just hover your mouse over Products, you're going to get all kinds of things. But over here on the left, you're going to see the open source RStudio. That's what you want. That's the thing that's free. We're just going to click on that. Okay. Now, when this pops up, it's going to give you some more options. It's going to say there are two versions. There's RStudio Desktop and RStudio Server. You want RStudio Desktop, not Server. So we'll click on that. And then it's going to give you two different editions. There's the open source version. There's the desktop, RStudio Desktop Pro version. And you can see there's a big difference between these. The open source one is free. The other one costs almost $1,000 a year. We don't want that. So we're going to download RStudio Desktop, the free one. Okay, I'm going to click on that. Then you've got to choose your version. Okay, well, once again, you want the free version and you want it desktop, not server. So we'll click download right here. And once you get there, I promise we're almost done, you're going to see a button tailor-made for your operating system. Now, it's pulling it from this list of things down here. So you can see there's a Windows installer, there's a Mac OS installer, and there's some Linux installers. It will detect which kind of system you're on, and it'll give you the right one. Click on that, and that should start the download. You'll notice here on the Mac, it asks me, hey, do you really want to do this? Yes, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to start the download. Once again, I don't really want this, so I'm going to cancel it. And that's, again, follow the instructions for extracting the software. Same kind of thing for Windows, and you'll be in good shape. Okay. Just to show you what it will look like when you open up RStudio, you'll see this in the first lecture for sure, but RStudio is going to look like, let me move it over to this side of the screen. It's going to look like, well, this, okay? Maybe similar to this. I do move I move some things around. I'll be happy to show any of you who are interested how I do that, but basically it works. You have a window here for a script. So these are the commands that you save for later use along with comments. These are the things over here. This is the console. This is where you actually do the calculations. Like if you want to just test out what 3 plus 2 is, you can see it gives you the answer 5. So it's an interactive language. And then down here, this is where some plots will show up as well as some other things. We'll see how all that works really nicely in the first lecture, but that's what we have for RStudio. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so that's the first thing. We got to install R. That's a big software package. Now, in a couple of lectures, we're going to start using JASP. Okay, JASP again is a nice piece of software for doing statistics, and it's a free piece of software. So we're going to download and install it from jasp-stats.org. So we'll go there real quickly. And you can see we've got a new version, 0.1.16.2. If you've used JASP before, maybe you had it in a course a couple semesters ago, or even longer perhaps, you probably will want the new version. So whichever version you have, let's go ahead and upgrade it. So to do that, we're going to click on Download JASP. Okay. And before we do that, I just want to share something with you. If you don't already have my How to Do Stats with JASP textbook, it's totally free download. You can actually find it from the JASP website. Go to Teaching, and then once that pops up, look down here under JASP textbook, and you'll see Learning Stats with JASP with Daniel Navarro, David Foxcroft, and myself. You click on that, it'll take you to the website for the book that you can then download whatever you need. Okay, so let's go back where we were. We just from the beginning, we're going to click on Download JASP. And just like before, if you're on a Windows machine, you'll click that. It'll start the download for you. If you're on a Mac, once again, you've got to know whether you're on an Intel machine or an Apple Silicon chip machine. As before I mentioned, I'm on an Intel machine, so I click on that. And it's going to tell you thank you. It's also going to give you some instructions. I would again say keep, and it's going to start downloading. I've actually already downloaded it. It's a bit of a big file, so I'm going to hit cancel with that. And for those of you on the Mac, I'm going to show you how to install this thing. It's a little bit tricky. So let me hide some stuff here. I'm going to pull up my Finder, and I'm going to show you that download real quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go to Downloads, and there it is. So I'm going to double click on this thing. That's going to open it up in a window. And I mean, this should be really easy, right? I didn't demonstrate any of this with RStudio. Oh, I forgot it has to go through the verification thing. So it'll take a minute to do that. Okay, so it's literally telling you, hey, drag this into the applications folder. So if you've never done that before, this is a cool trick on Macs. You just click and drag. And so that's being copied now into the applications folder. It's going to take a little bit because it's a bit of a big file, 1.35 gigs. Piece of software keeps getting bigger every semester. But that's okay. Computers keep getting bigger every semester, or at least their capacities do. Actual machines are getting smaller, but I digress. So hopefully it's accurate. In less than a minute, we'll be able to actually try to open this piece of software. What I want to show you is what can cause you some heartburn if you try to install it yourself and are not aware that this is going to happen. Again, this is precisely for Macs that I'm demonstrating. So if you're on a Windows machine, you can just kick back and do something else for the next couple of minutes while those of us on Macs learn how to make this thing work. I'll give you a little bit of foreshadowing of what's about to happen. So I'm going to go into my applications folder where I'm copying JASP right now. And I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to expect it to open, right? Because when you put something in the applications folder, that's what should happen. And what it's going to tell you is that, oh, no, you have installed something that the developer has not been verified for. So I'm not going to let you open this thing. And that's a little disconcerting, especially given that JASP is a really good piece of software, very powerful and essential for what we are about to do in this course. So we need to figure out how to override those security settings on the Mac in order to make this thing happen. So that's what I'm going to walk you through. And that literally is going to be the rest of the video. So if you've got it installed on a Windows machine, or it's already installed on your Mac and you know how to do this, then you can check out here. Okay, that's done. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to go to Applications. And in the Applications folder, there's JASP right there. So I'm going to double click on it. And once again, it's got to go through one more round of verifying. Try not to make any negative comments about the amount of security that Macs have begun to place on themselves. On one hand, it's a really good thing. On the other hand, it really does make installing software a pain sometimes. But that's okay. Just drink some coffee and chill for a minute. Oh, looks like it's speeding up. That's a good thing. Hopefully it continues at that speeded up pace. We're almost there. Okay. So you can see in my dock that I put over on the left-hand side, it is bouncing, so that's a good thing. Says it's an app download from the internet. Are you sure? Yes. Let's open it. Okay, so bouncy, bouncy, bounce. And would you believe it actually worked? Well, now that's interesting. So let me tell you this. In the past, what you have had to do is right-click on it or control-click until it opened anyway. So if that happens, there's instructions on the JASP website about this. But if that happens, what you do is it'll say, hey, I don't want to open. So if that happens, go back to the application, hit control-click, and then go and find the open thing. And then that will help. Some sequence of that will help to force it to become open. I don't know if it's because I've already installed this piece of software that it just remembers my setting or whatever. But again, if you run into the problem where it won't open, please know that that is common, and there are instructions on the Mac specific download page for JASP of how to make this happen. Okay, so sorry I walked you through all that for really no reason. So that's that, guys. We are ready to embark on our journey of Bayesian statistics. So once you get those two pieces of software downloaded, you are then ready to begin work on Lecture 1. So without further ado, let's end this video, and I will see you at Lecture 1. Happy downloading. Let me know if you have any problems downloading. We'll try to get you fixed up. Otherwise, I will see you at the next lecture.